Hey there! I wanted to show you a book that I bought a few weeks ago and something that I made from it. Pretty cool book called Zany Wooden Toys that whiz, spin, pop, and fly. The one and only item that I've made from it so far is what's called a rapid fire nickel launcher. The author has painted his up nicely, looks really cool. I haven't done that yet, but I wanted to show you what I've done so far. So, here we go. Here you see my version of the rapid fire nickel launcher. So how does a rapid fire nickel launcher work? Well, it's got a toothed wheel inside. It can go back and forth. It's controlled by this handle, as you can see. And the toothed wheel pushes a plunger backwards until it lets go, and then a rubber band pulls it forward. Let's see if I can do this backwards for you. Kind of a loud thump. And the author chose to launch what with it? Well, nickels, of course. Let me show you how it works first, and then we'll take it apart and show you a few of the pieces. Here I've got two stacks of 10 nickels. I've measured, I don't have enough nickels, but I've measured and it will actually hold about $3 worth. I don't know if you can see down in there. In the front, before we test it, take a look. We've got this little slot that the nickels will come out of. As the plunger comes forward, it will knock them through that slot. So as the plunger goes back, it clears a spot for them. They drop down through the hole to the bottom, and out comes a nickel when the plunger comes forward. Let's give it a try. Pretty cool, eh? Whoops. Ran out. Okay, so how was this made? Well, I took the author's advice and used 3 pieces of wood for the 2 sides and the front. But I'm not sure, he didn't really say which way this wood in the middle here should be oriented. The one with the nickel hole in it. So I tipped it up on its end. I think that was a mistake. Once I got it made and tried it the first couple of times, I shot about 3 nickels, and this bottom portion blew right out of the front. I mean, it was, you know, as you can imagine, it sheared off the grain. This much of the, you know, down here was just shot it right out of the front. I hadn't done a very good job of gluing it, but still, I was kind of disappointed in that. So let me show you what I have on the inside there. What I did to fix that. Here's the plunger we've seen before. You can see this hardwood dowel that's been inserted at a certain point. So the tooth will catch it coming forward, pull it backwards, and then let it go. This front part of the plunger is about the thickness of a nickel. The rubber band in the back, it's kind of tricky to thread through, not that big of a deal, but I try not to unthread it so I don't have to use my wire puller to pull it back through. So the plunger sits in its track, and as it comes backwards, one of the nickels comes forward, falls against the floor, and then as the tooth lets the plunger go, it shoves the nickel out the front. Comes back, gets another one, back, gets another one. Again, here you can kind of see the tooth arrangement. I can take, except for these three pieces here, I can take it all apart again. Nothing's glued in. These dowels I can pull out of the sides. I could knock the pin, the axle pin, right through the toothed wheel and take it apart. This is, you know, I can pull this dowel out, take it apart too. What was I going to show you? Oh, yes. So I tried to figure out a way to keep this piece from being blown out the front, and so I replaced the original pine with another piece of maple. I cut it out, and this is about about the most fitting I've ever done with the chisel. It took me a long time. One moment, I want to show you my little homemade router plane that I used too. Just a sec. I made this some time ago as a proof of concept. So I just put an Allen wrench. I kind of drilled a hole through the piece of scrap wood, obviously scrap wood. Tried to, you know, make it kind of hexagonal, but mainly I just whacked it through with a hammer. And then I can't remember how far in or out I had it when I sharpened it, but I just sharpened it, you know, running it along some sandpaper until we got it sharp on the edge. Looks like it needs sharpening again. But that's what I used to clean out this area down in here. And in fact, when I glued these three pieces together, these two were slightly offset, so I had to use they dried a little bit offset. So I used my router plane to skim one of these rabbets the same depth as the other. Pretty invaluable. I need to get a real one, or make myself a better one. That was pretty cool. So I laid this piece of maple in there. Like I say, I had to do all kinds of chiseling and fitting, which I had never done that kind of thing before. And it's tricky to get all the holes lined up too on the drill press. They're not exactly lined up. Once in a while a nickel will get jammed in there, but not too bad. And the handle, I'm not even sure what kind of wood this is. It's more of the same hardwood style dowel, but the handle itself I laid out with a circle template, did 2 circles. Then I used a French curve just to kind of fair them together. And cut them out of a piece of wood, realized it was too thick, so on my scroll saw I just cut it right down the middle again. So there's one piece that's, after I drilled the holes, I cut it apart. And then I realized too late in the game that the hole I had drilled, just arbitrarily, was too big for anything I had, so I had to fit together. I had to come up with a handle. That took me a while to figure that out, how I was going to do that. I turned this piece on my lathe and found hardware around the shop, just put it together. So, and then that took me several hours over several days. And then the last thing I did, alright, I'm almost there, you know, I took the bottom, drilled the holes, countersunk them, and promptly mounted it to the top of the unit. And it's okay, I can test it out now. No, I can't. I have no way to get nickels in there. So, that's what those 6 holes are doing on the top. I mounted the bottom to the top accidentally. Whoops. Before I ever mounted the bottom part on, I needed to be able to make sure everything was working right. So I'd put some nickels in. I just put it on the table or on another piece of flat wood, and I just put the plunger in and, you know, do it by hand. For a while there, nickels were getting jammed. It took me a long time to figure out some of the nickels, they're kind of dinged. They've been, I don't know, through a machine or on the ground or something. They get these little nicks in the sides. And my little slot here is just tight enough that if a nickel's too thick at all, it'll jam in there, only come out part way. And it won't be until I knock the next nickel out that it'll come out at all. So I finally learned to, you know, when a nickel gets jammed in there, I just take it out, put it aside. And don't try to run it through my machine. So let's see, put it back together. I'll do one more run here. Another thing I didn't plan for on the side was, again, I arbitrarily cut the handle out. Didn't notice until too late that when it came around, it touches this dowel down here. So I really need to redo this whole handle. Remake it a little bit shorter, put in a hole after I've decided how I'm going to do the handle, instead of having to fit the handle to the hole. Oops, I'm about to lose my rubber band. So I had to rig this side so that the rubber band didn't move in or out at all. I got it, tied a knot tightly to the side there. Okay, get my plunger in place. Put the other rubber band on its little dowel. I guess I should have put the bottom back on first. Now let's see, can I get it lined up the way it was? Yep, that's it. Okay, so get back in a sec once I've got this back together. Okay, here we are, ready for one last try. I gather all my nickels. I've been shooting all over my workbench. Put the first set down in there. The author does say about the plunger to make sure to use hardwood for that. If you use something too soft, it'll only survive for a couple hundred shots, and then it will splinter on the end. So I took his advice, and I ended up using maple for several parts, including the toothed wheel in there. Okay, one last shot. Ready? There you go. I think I've lost one nickel, so it should be about 19. Yep, 19. There you have it. Rapid fire nickel launcher. Hope you have one. Hope you find lots of more great ideas in this book for spinners and launchers and golfers and all sorts of things. So, have fun.